If bookkeeping can be done real time, all other accounting processes benefit out of that.
On this week's episode of the Silicon Valley Podcast, we sit down with Sidharth Saxena, who is the CEO and founder of Docyt. We talk about his journey from the corporate world to founding a company, the decision to start a company in a business sector he had no background in, how AI will level the playing field for small business owners going against those big guys out there, how AI in the future of software, communication, and the ability to use it to better business as a whole, and much more. All right, let's start this week's episode of the Silicon Valley Podcast. Enjoy. All right, I'm very excited for this week's episode of the Silicon Valley Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Sid. Now, Sid, I've looked at your background. I've looked at what your company's doing. It's phenomenal. But for our audience out there, can we start by just giving a brief introduction of your career, your background up until this point?
All right. Thank you, Sean, for inviting me over here. My name is Sidharth Saxena, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Docyt AI, which is building the world's first AI bookkeeper. I grew up in India, a civil engineer father. So when you are growing up in India with a civil engineer father, engineering is the only option for you. Went into IIT, coincidentally joined a program which was non-engineering, which was India's first undergraduate program in design. Year was 1999. And the first week I landed in college, in my library, there was a spread of the ID magazine with Apple's Handy Mac as the cover story. That day and that magazine changed my life. I realized for the very first time what was I supposed to do in the design program. Anyhow, finished 4 years of college, landed up in United States, learned human-computer interaction design, which is effectively watching humans use software and how to help improve software. Joined companies like Oracle and then later on VMware as a designer. Learned tremendously about the human experience of using software systems, how to design scalable systems. Since I was in Silicon Valley, of course, what else would you do but start a tech startup? And now here I am.
Okay, so your background, it sounds like it was more UI, UX design. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your company is not anywhere in that field. It's accounting, which is, I see that as the complete opposite. Maybe I'm wrong, but how do you connect the two? And well, what's the history of the accounting industry that got you excited about that? And let's start there because I also am really curious about starting a company in a profession that, well, if I'm right and UI, UX, and accounting are so different, that's so different than what you studied, what your profession was. So, handful of questions there. I'm not sure how you want to unpack it or the order.
Absolutely. I think it's a amazing journey that I've gone through. When you study a design program, effectively you become a problem solver. Doesn't matter what domain, it is a very interdisciplinary field. You work with software, you work with human psychology, you work with creative aspects, colors, visual design, and such. So it was a very interdisciplinary stream of study. My first job when I landed up in Oracle, coincidentally, my manager, she started her career with Xerox PARC, and she was one of the first interns on Xerox Star, which was the world's first user interface software. That got me very curious into the history of computing and design and history of just how the software industry evolved. You'd be surprised that the computing industry evolved in tandem with accounting software. VisiCalc, which was a spreadsheet software released in 79-80, was one of the primary reasons personal computer sales scaled up. It was the first boom to bust, or you might want to call a viral software story. In 4 years, VisiCalc went from boom to bust. And the reason for bust was because a better software came along, Lotus, that brought in automation for the very first time. And guess what was the automation? Macros in the spreadsheet. So, interestingly, the history of automation in software, the history of hardware improvements in the personal computing world, and just the history of software itself has followed closely the needs of financial and accounting market. Even today, the third software that really became very powerful is Excel. Excel was the world's first software written from ground up, from scratch, considering a user interface in mind. That became the reason of its success, and the program hasn't changed since it was launched. So again, one of the world's most successful, most powerful software happens to be something that powers the world of accounting and finance. So as a student of technology, a student of design, I look at myself as somebody who observes human behavior when they are using software, when they're using technology. And I try to figure out what is that next automation or the next level of efficiency or improvement that can be brought, which brought me to a bunch of insights that me and my co-founder received around a small business back office. We can probably dig into that story a little bit deeper, but my early experience in Oracle, that really showed me the power of software. Millions of businesses using extremely powerful enterprise class software that provides so much efficiency in the way this world runs, in the way businesses operate. Later on, I realized that small businesses do not have that luxury. And similarly, powerful technology be brought into the small business world to help out the mom and pop business. And with the advent of artificial intelligence, machine learning based automation, which is getting cheaper and cheaper, now is the time when that future can become a reality.
But still, okay, so we got a little bit of the history of accounting software, but still didn't even touch on your background UI UX. How do you start a startup, a company in a field that you don't have the background for? Did you find a co-founder that is in that profession and would give you feedback, or were you just sitting down doing user studies and saying what's the problems and is there a solution? And what gravitated you towards this problem? Because I'm guessing most people don't even think it's a problem, and building a solution around it. How did you even start? How did you even start
Right.
with a profession that's not yours?
Right. And again, that's a fantastic question. The story on entrepreneurship, it's a journey that every entrepreneur scratches through and figures out their own journey. In our case, we actually never thought we would be automating accounting or we would be looking at the workflow around bookkeeping. Uh, we wanted to build awesome technology that people can use to organize their back office paperwork. You can scan a bunch of documents. And this is where me and my co founder had built a technology that can extract information out of documents through machine learning technologies at that time, which were early days. So we were sitting talking to this business owner who manages a bunch of hotels. And we were trying to showcase this technology that, hey, you can scan all your invoices and receipts, and it is better than Dropbox, and you can organize them nicely. And being a small business owner, of course, the person did not see any value. They were like, what am I going to do with a bunch of scans? But hey, my wife is the CFO. Her hand gets tired when she's writing checks every night on these dozens of invoices. Can you generate payments out of these bills that you're scanning? So that was a light bulb aha moment that, hey, okay, now we have a business use case for which somebody is willing to pay money. That's how the very first iteration of our product was born, where as designers and technologists, we had developed a technology, but we were unfamiliar with the market or the needs of the customer. So we developed the first bill pay module for our product. Later on, somebody else said that, hey, you have this data extraction technology that works on bills. I have a point of sale system where daily reports come out, but my bookkeeper only does once a month journal entry, which creates, black box situation if I'm trying to drill into revenue of a given day. Can you use your technology to do daily revenue journal entry? Then we are like, absolutely. So we developed our first point of sale integration. And then the third customer came along and said, hey guys, you have all my expense data. You have all my revenue data. Why can't you give me my income statement? And this was the real turning point in the evolution of our company. And by the time we reached the stage, Sean, we had talked to hundreds of small business owners. We had talked to several hundred bookkeepers and accountants. So reality is that when you start on your entrepreneurial journey, you actually do not know the use cases that are going to propel forward your company, your product in what unique way. Uh, as technologists, we can get started, and the art of start, as you might have read that book. The more important thing is, are you ready for an entrepreneurial journey, which is full of risk, which is full of uncertainty? And do you have that mindset where you are moving forward? Because when you start a new company, when you start a tech startup, it won't move forward unless you are moving it every single day, which is what most entrepreneurs are. They look at a giant vacuum and they say, okay, I'm going to make a dent on it. And you take the first step forward. Now, of course, you will fall into some pitfalls. You will waste a whole lot of days, weeks, and months. But when that first business insight comes along, then also do you have a business mindset, an opportunistic mindset, where you can run faster and try to deliver on the needs of the first customer. So, in some essence, you first go slow and you talk to a lot of people. You talk to various folks who may be interested in what you are building. So, you go slow so that you don't go in a direction far ahead, which might be wrong. But once you have sniffed that first opportunity, that's when you start running. And as you discover more and more patterns that, hey, these kind of folks in this industry also happen to have the same problem, that's when you know a business can be built. And of course, as Silicon Valley companies evolve, you also try to find the right mindset investors. We were very lucky early on to have angels, to have early stage investors who really trusted us. My company's first check was given to me on a UI prototype that we showed. There was no product at that time. So kudos to the gentleman, the first angel, who put their hard-earned money into the company. And another similar thing is you actually don't want to raise a lot of money before you really know what you're doing. So as I told the story, had we raised a lot of money when we were still in the technology mode, the technology could have taken us in a completely different direction where all of the money we would have taken would have failed. So a lot of ingredients have to come together to really help a business move in a certain direction. Capital has to come at the right time. Ideas have to be, a little bit better formed after conversation with prospective customers, people who actually have the ability to pay. One of the early business models we looked at was consumer areas. Imagine if you have to organize your passport, your bills, your home documents. That was the first mobile app we created. And we got to 20,000 plus users of our mobile app, but less than 50 paid users. That's when we realized that consumers don't pay. It would be written on my obituary that consumers don't pay. Figure out a way to create a business that sells to other businesses. And that was a learning moment for us. So, every entrepreneur, every company stumbles. And in my co-founder, I had a person who already had family and business relationships with other small businesses. So the insights came in very rapidly. And we iterated, we built upon those insights. And we launched this first version of our software, which started scaling with customers.
I really liked on that tombstone, customers don't pay. That that sounds like a pretty good t-shirt, to be honest. But 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 let's go back. Okay, so you talked to hundreds of small businesses, hundreds of accountants. What are some advice, techniques, uh, in talking to them to get information from them then, that might be able to speed the process along, or things that you notice? I mean, from that experience right there, what wisdom can you pass on?
Absolutely. The most important thing that I learned was that the answers are not in the building. Now we deal with technology so much. We are in front of our laptops and phones so much that we feel we can just do some research on Google and start building a business. Doesn't work that way. You have to put in front of other people. If your buyer is out there, you got to be in front of them and meet them at events. If there's one advice I can give you, go to trade shows, and don't go to trade shows as attendees. Spend a little bit of money, and even if you don't have a nice booth, just put up a table and stand behind the desk as a vendor in a trade show. Just that allows a lot of people to come walk up to you, and the conversations can reveal a lot about what these folks might want, what their pain points might be, what their needs could be. And when you start peeling through the surface, you can have prospective early stage buyers who can really shape your product. Another important thing is try not to go after big customers from the get-go. They have problems. They always are willing to talk about their problems, but the buying cycles are so long that you may go in a completely wrong direction, which may not give scale to your business. So try to have a big funnel. Keep adding as many people as you can and develop a marketing plan. One of the first mistakes I would say that we did was since we were product people, we did not know much about marketing. Marketing is job number one. Whether you have a product, you don't have a product, you got to start talking about what you are trying to build. It could be a simple website page. It could be a flyer. It could be just an email that you are sending to 20 people who you got introduced to. Start a blog. Start writing about it. Start tweeting about it. That is the most important thing, because there are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who are out there in the world who need what you may be thinking. It's a huge world, it's a huge market. But unless those people know that you are the person building it, they will not be able to find you, nor you will be able to find them. Now, when I talk to other friends who are starting companies, this is my second advice I give to them, that invest in a little bit of marketing. Uh, Talk to folks like you, Sean, who are creating these brilliant podcasts so that you get a little bit of outreach. Once you start talking, once you are out there in front, once you have taken that first step of discomfort, it doesn't come naturally to engineers, builders, product people. It doesn't come naturally to put yourself out there. But once you start doing that, a magical change happens. People are extremely helpful. It is one of my biggest learning while building this company, how much helpful the wider community is. This could be a Silicon Valley thing, but in general, I've seen that happen in others as well. Investors, your first customers, your first early hires, every single person you touch, they feel a personal connection to you and they propel the company forward. So these are some of the learnings that I, would love to share with anybody who's starting on the same journey.
You'd mentioned the first check was basically off a demo, but at the same time, you mentioned to hold off on raising a capital till you're far along the journey. How did you know it was the right time and not to tell that person, hey, I know you're interested, but now's not the right time. Wait a little bit longer?
Right. You know, You take money from somebody when you actually want their advice, and then you feel that individual can actually help you in that journey. The process of taking money is very interesting. Uh, a lot of first time founders feel like taking the first check is the first step in the journey. No, finding the right partner is the most important part. You don't want investors who will push you in wrong directions, wrong areas. This is where venture capitalists are actually a tremendous partners because they have seen businesses being built from scratch. They resonate with what early stage founders go through, and they know when to hold back their feedback. But if you get an angel who is hyperactive every single day, emailing, messaging that why are you not doing this and that, the process of building a business is an extremely emotional roller coaster. Every day is an up day or extremely down day. You want partners who understand that journey. So when you are building your company, it's not that the money is important. Of course, money is needed to pay the bills. This is where you also need to figure out your business plan. Hopefully, you have figured out how much the first 12 months are going to cost you. And then you go on that fundraising process. This is where, if your costs are low, angels can support you and you go find those right angels. These angels could be actually your first few buyers, which is what the case was for Docyt, my company. One of the first angels was actually a small business owner. That person resonated with the pain of bill pay and eventually where the software could head. So they took a bet on us. And we learned a lot. They were our first reference customers. They would try out the beta product. So, most important, what you are trying to do is you're trying to strategically add partners who will help you in that journey. So, it's not that the money is important, and then you only take enough money to last you maybe the next 6 to 12 months in the early stage. When you take too much money, which has been a common phenomena in Silicon Valley, people will pay you 5 million, 10 million if you are friends with, high powered VCs, or if you have a lot of exit background. There's a tremendous amount of capital that will chase you. But saying no to capital means that you are constantly trying to figure out your product market fit as fast as you can. And if it doesn't succeed, you haven't burned somebody's hard earned money in that process. But once you have found that first insight, by that time, hopefully you should have built your network of, early stage investors who can then come fund your pre-seed and seed round. And this is where, if your angels are also connected with such investors, that goes a long way. That is very helpful. In Silicon Valley, it's much easier. In other locations, it's a little bit harder. So if you are starting on an entrepreneurial journey, you really got to take a step back and think about, okay, who do you want as your advisors and partners? Who do you want as your early stage team members? Who do you want as your first 5, 10, 20 customers? Figuring that out should be the driving factor behind your business plan, not the reverse. You don't create a spreadsheet out of thin air that, hey, I'm going to make magical AI and I'm going to raise $10 million to make that magical AI. And now let's build a business plan. No, that's putting the cart before the horse.
A lot of good wisdom there. Now, I was also thinking the whole time though, you had a product that clearly solved a pain point. So, could you tell us a little bit about, the importance, I guess, of why real-time bookkeeping, how it benefits small businesses? What were these first customers? What were that first angel? What were these people seeing in your product? What was the pain that got their attention and the benefits out there for it?
Absolutely. The world of software is actually at a pivotal moment. Uh, you know, 30, 40 years ago, when the world of software started, most of it was installed on your local computer, your local machine. That's how the first 2 to 3 decades of personal computing and software went. Then came the cloud revolution. And now every piece of software is available as SaaS or software as a service deployed from website. You go to a browser, type in the URL, and you log in into your software. Last 2 to 2.5 decades of B2B software evolution has been on SaaS. But now, because of AI and machine learning, we are about to transition in a big way into what I like to call as value as a service. What does that mean? Today, humans provide professional services. You have programmers or software engineers writing software. You have designers creating various product designs or graphic designs. You have lawyers providing legal service. You have bookkeepers and accountants providing bookkeeping and accounting service. With AI and machine learning, now it is possible to deliver this value as a service through an AI powered software. But where we are is a transition time where wide masses of buyers and customers are still trained on trying to identify and figure out SaaS software. Like, hey, is this a bookkeeping software I should buy, or that's the bookkeeping software I should buy? And at the surface, all software that is sold today looks similar. It's a whole bunch of screens. You go click on various screens, you input some data, and then you get some reports out, or you get your work done. The human is still pushing the computer or the machine forward by telling the machine where to go, what to do, what inputs are needed. Very rapidly now, machines are evolving where they can connect themselves to data sources. They can extract information out of those data sources. And then they can crunch those numbers with minimal human input and then provide you the ultimate value. However, the buying experience is still stuck on software as a service kind of a buyer mindset. This is one major trend that is happening. The second trend that is happening is when you think of small businesses never were buyers of point solutions. They would not buy 5, 6, 7 software to get one job done. That's why a small business owner just goes to their local bookkeeper and say, hey, give me my books. Now, the local bookkeeper might use a point solution, let's say something for bill pay, something for revenue accounting, something for month-end closing, a general ledger software. And they will use all these 5, 6 point solutions to deliver the income statement and balance sheet, which is the ultimate value that was demanded by the customer. So the world of accounting and finance, where it is shifting is now the complexity of the small business has grown actually much, much higher compared to where we were a decade ago. So the bookkeeping process has become extremely complicated. Accountants are now bogged down with the amount of data that's coming at them. They are bogged down by the proliferation of SaaS point solutions that they have to use for their 20 to 50 customers. If you have 100 or more customers, then as an accounting firm, you are dealing with 30 to 40 or more SaaS point solutions. The pendulum is really swinging very hard on this other side. And why? Because the general ledger companies are not innovating. When you look at accounting software, general ledger software, ERP software, they have such an iron grip on their customer because these customers, once you put all your data on the ERP, it's impossible to get out of that. So the only innovation space was in point solution. You have a specialized software to pay bills, paying bills at volume, 1,000, 2,000 bills. For the very first time now, because of AI and machine learning, there is another layer possible on top of all of this data, which could look at horizontally all of expense data, all of revenue data, all of the reconciliations, month-end closing, and then aim to crunch all that data to deliver you the fourth piece, which is your income statement and balance sheet and financial reports. So when you think about the evolution of accounting software, I would connect the dot with the origin of VisiCalc. First came on-prem installed software, then somebody added a tiny automation called macros in the spreadsheet software. Then came about the ERP, which was deployed in data centers. Then came cloud software like QuickBooks, Page Intact, NetSuite. And now we are about to enter a whole wide world where accounting software is expected to deliver final value, which is real time reporting. And this is brought us to the ultimate goal with which humans actually started writing software that, okay, real time information. Humans deal with a lot of uh, uncertainties in their business environment. A lot of data is coming at them. And a human was sitting in front of a computer and frantically entering data so that the computer can provide you the report. As long as a human was in the middle, data was not real time. Finally, with value as a service centric AI powered software, which is Docyt as an example, now we are arriving at the ultimate ambition where reporting is real time, service is real time. If you need a legal draft prepared, your AI lawyer can probably do a good job of a first iteration of a legal draft. Your AI bookkeeper can probably do a decent job of a first iteration of your books. And then, of course, humans can come in as auditors and review and maybe provide edits, which again, the machine can very quickly deliver so that customers deliver or see value much, much faster. So this is how the entire trend has been, and we are at the cusp of this massive change.
It, I'm guessing right now, as the audience is listening to this, they're imagining different reasons why in-time bookkeeping could be so beneficial to a small business or any business. But could you give some examples, some scenarios, some use cases of how the real-time bookkeeping could play in to the owner's decisions, the owner's plannings, the owner's, just the business at that moment in time?
Absolutely. Small businesses are very cash thin. They run on very thin margins. They have to manage their cash flow very efficiently. But the process of bookkeeping was designed to give them that insight on how to manage their business a little bit more efficient. What we have seen happen is the bookkeeping process doesn't even start until the month has ended because accountant want all the data and only then you can do your books. So by the time your business insights come to you, you are already 3 to 4 weeks after the month has ended. Then what good is that data if you cannot change your profitability of the month that already got ended? When books are real time, let's say today is the 18th, and you know that your budgeted gross profit is not going to be achieved, then maybe you can incentivize your front desk person to upsell something else. Maybe you can change the pricing of the goods and items that you are selling for the remainder of the 12 days. Or maybe you can delay a repair work that you are planning into the next month so that your bottom line net income numbers can meet, or your gross operating profit numbers can meet with what was budgeted. This very simple change, this is how actually large enterprises work. Why do large enterprises do all of this FP&A work before the year even starts? Every department knows their budget in advance, and every month, every department is expected to be under budget. The same philosophy can do wonders to small businesses. But what good is a budget if they do not know how their day-to-day actuals are against that budget? This is the power of real-time bookkeeping. If books are being done every single day instead of month-end closing, if you have end-of-day closing, every single day your live P&L is in front of you, your unit economics is in front of you. One example of unit economics I'll give you is if you are running a few hotels and you have a line item that says cost of laundry and detergent, and you can create an interesting ratio, cost of laundry and detergent per occupied room. Now imagine, doesn't matter whether you're a 30-room hotel or 100-room hotel, cost of laundry and linen per occupied room, you can apply that unit economics across all 5 of your hotels. And then you can see which of your hotels is being more efficient, which one is spending more money. Now you have a powerful way. If this data can now come in real time in every single day, you can go talk to the manager of the hotel which is being inefficient and figure out a way to control your cost. This is how small businesses are going to be operating in future, where AI is going to be helping them fine tune their back office operations, fine tune their day to day practical operations, and make sure that their profit metrics are met month after month.
I think that's really interesting because that almost changes the way business is done. It kind of puts, I almost want to say, a little bit more of an even playing field from the small business and the huge corporation. How it does it kind of even the playing field a little bit, or is it going to be a even bigger divide?
I think it's going to even the playing field a lot. Right now, small businesses are flying blind. They waste human resource into areas which may not deliver business value. They may not allow their team to have visibility into their data. Humans, if you give them targets, if you share information with them, then they actually try to help out the business succeed. This is human behavior. But a lot of small businesses do not share some of these metrics. When our AI system can be configured in a way where specific metrics, numbers can be shared with the team as well in real time, it will unleash more creative human power. I can foresee a world where AI would direct usage of human time with extreme amount of precision. Right now, payroll cost or labor cost is one of the biggest expenses for a small business. Almost 40% of their profit margins go into human labor. Another 40% go into supplies, relationship with vendors. And AI can make a big dent in both of them. If human time is directed at the right line item on the income statement, think of every income statement as areas where your team is spending time. Sales and marketing, somebody's putting some time over there. Repairs and maintenance, somebody's putting some time over there. Revenue operations, somebody's putting some time over there. If AI can direct where the human time should be focused, as well as it can direct that your vendor relationships need to be improved, and there'll be a better vendor who can deliver higher value at cheaper cost. Now that AI knows about millions of these vendors, how much they charge, which specific area of operations they service, this is where the world is headed, where small businesses can now become more efficient. They can increase their profitability. And now the business itself can deliver greater value to the ultimate end consumer who uses services of these businesses. So it's going to be a level playing field where now the benchmarks are also available to small businesses. You can think of benchmark on revenue. How much should a retail store price a certain item in a certain day or month? How much should be the cost of a room in a hotel in a certain zip code? And also, what should be the spending guardrails? Are you spending more money on materials and supplies purchase if you are an inventory business compared to others in your similar industry vertical? Every single decision can be double checked by AI and can provide you guardrails on where the spending habit should be, where the revenue focus should be. And this removes line item by line item inefficiency from your income statement and adds value into your balance sheet.
It's kind of funny while you're talking, I was thinking, so outside the podcast, our audience knows that I'm an investment banker, focused mergers, acquisitions, growth capital. And one of the things it's funny, I'll get these investment thesis from these private equities or these family office groups, and they'll specifically say we like founder owned businesses with revenue this and EBITDA this. And you'll ask them, you go, why founder owned? And they go, well, because we think that we can put in our operating team and find some inefficiencies and bump up EBITDA, and then 5 years from now sell for multiple. I'm wondering if in the future it'll be not founder owned, but like AI unenabled or something like that, where it's like, oh no, we're going to come in with our AI efficiencies and clean up the company that way. And that'll be their thesis.
Absolutely. And even capital allocation is gonna become extremely efficient. You just mentioned some of these unit economics or liquidity ratios or operating margins, some of these key metrics. Imagine if all 20 million American businesses, if their unit economics and measures are real time and live, the valuation of that business is most accurate. And if that business goes for a lending decision or for a selling decision, it is very easy to make a quick decision. When you go to a bank for a loan as a small business, banks take weeks and months to make a decision, and they are blocked on your income statement balance sheet, which most of the time are not good quality, not accurate. So you can imagine a scenario where AI can generate your income statements in real time, and capital just comes in your bank account. Very soon, you will have situations where powerful AI software like Docyt could be the matchmakers between lenders and small businesses. And as the liquidity ratios, as some of those unit economics thresholds are met, the interest rates adjust appropriately. And if the business wants to make the lending decision in one click, you can have capital flowing into the business, and voila, you can spend money on increasing your business plans or whatever else you want to do with that capital.
And then we'll add that on the blockchain and we'll hit all the buzzwords and be perfect. And
Well, there you go.
is there anything we're coming up on time? Tell our audience a little bit more about Docket, what you're building, what's on the horizon for the next year, 2 years, big picture, milestones ahead. And we'll wrap it up with a couple other questions after that. But I really wanted to touch on that first.
Absolutely. At Docket AI, we are really building a real-time bookkeeping platform. And I say and use the word bookkeeping because accounting is a very generic word, but bookkeeping as a process is foundation to three very high-value workflows: audit, tax, and advisory. If bookkeeping can be done real time, all other accounting processes benefit out of that. So, as a team, as a company, we are focused on the small business segment. A lot of folks who use products like QuickBooks, NetSuite, and Sage. And we are going to be the first company to deploy the world's first AI bookkeeper. And this is built on top of our AI platform, which is a mix of precision AI and generative AI powered by LLMs. Now, a lot of companies are deploying chat GPT based wrappers and large language model based algorithms and saying chat GPT can build balance sheets. No, it cannot build balance sheets. A lot of precision work has to happen and a lot of tiny workflows that contribute towards building a balance sheet. So as a company, we are building a powerful AI platform that does accounting and bookkeeping with tremendous amount of precision. And that makes your books real time and live. We are proud of helping out hundreds and thousands of small businesses already today. So this is not a beta system. This is live in production. And I have a tremendous team, a management team, which has come from companies like Salesforce, Intuit, and a bunch of security software. I have a tremendous co-founder whose undergraduate thesis was in neural networks. So with this team and the focus in the right area, we have been able to build a product that is going to deliver value as a service and not just software as a service. So we are the pioneering company in this area. And already our customers are sending us a lot of love letters and happy stories. So we hope to go to many more businesses in this current year.
And Sid, outside of your company, what's exciting you about AI? What's exciting you about that technology out there? And then final takeaway, and if anyone wants to find out more information about you and your company, the best way to go about doing it. We'll have that information in the show notes. But first, what's exciting you about technology in the future?
Absolutely. I think uh, one of the interesting pieces that is emerging is not just large language models, and various companies are investing in those foundation models, but also how softwares interact with the software. Until now, software integrations were very API centric. That you get an API integration, you develop an endpoint, and now these two pieces of software can talk to each other. Pretty soon, you wouldn't even need that. If your software is AI powered and another software is AI powered, the two models can talk to each other, figure out the integrations, and again, move data seamlessly to deliver the ultimate value. Like, for example, when you have a software Salesforce, and when you have a software Stripe, and when you have a software QuickBooks, imagine all three of them without needing to build any integration endpoints can just talk to each other and deliver value to the business owner. How much was your revenue? How much was the sales deal close? How much was the commissions that should go on the balance sheet? Humans don't have to come in the middle. These powerful changes where business software is going to start talking to other business software without needing to build integrations, that is going to be the next evolution that we're going to see in B2B software. And Docyt is taking a lot of interesting steps in that area. I'm very excited about that potential. This is, by the way, on top of all the exciting stuff that is happening in the large language model world, in ChatGPT, in OpenAI, and other companies, the way they are developing and getting better and better every day. If you want to talk to me, LinkedIn is the best medium. Reach out to me on my LinkedIn profile. If you type in my first name and last name, you should be able to find me. Sometimes I am on Twitter, but I don't usually post over there. But if you send me a message there, I will absolutely respond.
Fantastic. We're going to have the LinkedIn link in the show notes. And for our audience, I'm not the host of the Silicon Valley podcast. I'm an investment banker focused on mergers, acquisitions, growth capital, and secondaries. So contact me. Best way to reach me as well. Also, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have a conversation. Earlier, the better. And with that, Sid, I want to thank you for a great interview. And thank you for taking the time to be on this week's episode of the Silicon Valley podcast.
Thank you so much, Sean.